Hello, guys. Welcome back to Life with Pauly. Today is currently Wednesday, October 1st, and today is going to be a little bit of a different video. I wanted to bring a news story for you that broke here in Albany, New York. If you don't know, I live in Albany, New York, which is the capital of New York State, Albany, New York. And this news story broke a few days ago. I'm going to be putting links down in the description to each news story. And I'm also going to be putting a link down below to this guy's confession. He confessed on live TV to doing something. And I will explain that in a second. But I will put all the links down below. So make sure you go watch these news stories. And I will keep you updated on this story and where it goes. Anyways, there was a guy named Lorenz Krause here in Albany, New York. He is currently 53 years old, and he was being investigated for Social Security fraud. Basically, he was being investigated because there was checks that were being cashed or money that was being taken out of people's accounts. They did not know exactly whose accounts these were. I mean, they knew whose they were, but they didn't know what the relationship between Lorenz Krause was and these two other people. But anyways, they were investigating them for years for Social Security fraud and frauding the government. The FBI and the police ended up going in a few days ago to his house and busting him. And they took certain information from his house and certain evidence from his house. And he was not arrested at that time because they were still investigating the Social Security fraud and trying to figure out what, who these other two people were that he was defrauding. Anyways, the next day he wanted to get interviewed by CBS News 6, which is in Albany, New York, and I will put that interview right down below. He talked to one of the reporters and he actually confessed on live TV and camera that the people that he was getting the money for, Social Security checks for, was actually his parents. And he said that he didn't, most of the money that he donated to different charities, I guess, and to people that were going hungry. But I'm sure he used a lot of the Social Security funds for himself also. So, like I said, he got on live TV. He wanted to make sure that the reporter was going to put his, speech or whatever the hell you call it. He wanted to make sure that the reporter was going to put it on their website. He wanted to make sure that the reporter was going to put it on YouTube and everything else. When the reporter first asked him about killing his parents, he said, "Well, I can't really talk about that." And the reporter, says, "Well, you agreed to this interview and you agreed to talk to me and tell me what exactly happened." After he says that a couple times that he wasn't going to talk about that or what happened exactly, he ended up confessing to the whole thing. Now, the craziest thing is his parents have been dead for 8 years. They've been dead. And he's been collecting their Social Security checks himself. Whether it be taking money out of the bank or getting checks, I have no clue. Of course, the people are still investigating that part of the crime. And there will be more charges once that part is, once that part is done. There'll probably be more charges and he'll probably end up owing Social Security a lot of money. But the craziest part is his name was Franz. He was 92 years old and his mother was Teresa and she was 83 years old. And what he had told the reporter on CBS News 6 is that his parents were getting old and he knew that it was almost their time to go. He said, I guess that his mother had been walking on Wolf Road, which is not too far from me. It's down a ways, but it's not too far from me, Wolf Road. I guess his mother was walking on a road and she had fallen. So he said that his parents were showing signs that it was their time to go. So he took it upon himself to, now he didn't say in an interview that his mother or father wanted to die. He said himself he seen signs that they were ready to go. So what he did was he actually choked his father first. The reporter asked him straight out, "Who did you kill first?" And he said, "I killed my father first." And the reporter asked him, "How did he do it?" And he said he took his hands, basically choking his father and killing him. And then after that, he had said that his mother laid her head on his father's chest when he was already gone and passed. And then he said a couple hours later, he said, "I offed my mother." Right on national live TV. Basically, he said he took a rope for his mother, which was 93 years old, and he strangled her to death. And then he said because he couldn't tell Social Security they just died and stopped their Social Security because they would probably be asking questions. Where's the funeral? Where's the bodies? This and that. They usually need proof of that stuff. When my mom died, I made sure that the funeral parlor sent Social Security something stating, the death certificate for Social Security to say that she had passed on to stop her Social Security. Usually, funeral parlors automatically do that if they're receiving any kind of Social Security or disability. Well, this guy said he knew he couldn't do that, and in order for him to get away with killing his parents, he had to bury him in the backyard. So that's what he did. He buried his mother in the backyard, and that was 8 years ago. So it was in 2017 that he killed his mother and father, and then proceeded to collect the Social Security because, like I said, he said he didn't want to basically get caught for killing his mother and father, so he had to keep the checks going, and he just spent the money or donated it or whatever he wanted to do with it, I guess. I think he's crazy, and I think he's insane, and I think he deserves a lot of prison time for it. For him to make a decision to kill his parents because he thinks they're showing signs, even if a parent is showing signs of dementia or something like that, I could see somebody putting them in a care home so they can get the proper care and everything if somebody can't care for their parent, but to actually kill them and off them because they're showing signs that they're going to die. You all know that my mother died of cancer. It was a very hard thing for me to go through. It was a very hard thing for me to see her suffer. By the time my mom died, she was skin and bones. There was no flesh left to her at all. She couldn't even drink before she died. And that was very hard for me to go through. But I didn't choose myself to end her life. I wanted her to go. I wanted her to die. I told her the day that my mom did pass away and die, I cried next to her and I said, "Mom, please, can you go? I don't want to see you suffer anymore." I said, "It's okay." I said, "I'll be okay if you go now." And that day she did. But, I would not do that. I'm going to say this right now. My brother even said to me, one of my brothers that I don't talk to anymore, because they weren't there to help me when she died. They weren't there to help me when I took care of her for months with different things. They weren't there for me. My brother told me one day when we were on the phone that he wouldn't be mad if I gave her a little bit more morphine to make her go, so she didn't have to suffer or go through the pain, that he wouldn't blame me for doing that. I would never do that. I would never, that wouldn't even cross my mind. Now, I do know that there are certain times that a person should be able to choose to live or die. And that is when somebody's got cancer like my mom had. Here in New York State, they don't have that thing where if you got a terminal illness and you got cancer, you can choose to die. Usually, what they do is they give you a pill, you go to sleep, you never wake up again. They do have it in other countries. They do have it in the state of New Jersey, which is about a couple hours away from here, but they do not have that in the state of New York. They don't have that in the state of PA. My aunt, my mom's other sister, lives in Pennsylvania right now, and she just got a diagnosis of cancer, and it's terminal. She's not going to be able to. She's not going to be able to beat it. She's basically going to die from her cancer. And she even said that she wishes they had a pill that she could take just to go to sleep and never wake up again instead of having to suffer like my mother suffered. I do believe in that, and I do believe in somebody should have the right then. But to go off your parents just because they're getting old and, they didn't make the decision themselves. This guy made the decision. And I believe that he should get a lot of prison time, and I think he will. As of right now, the story is as soon as he gave the interview to CBS 6 News, because the FBI and the police were still trying to figure out who these two people were that he was collecting Social Security for. They didn't know. They were still investigating the case, but he decided to go in the next day because he wasn't arrested because of Social Security fraud. He decided to go in the next day and basically confess to a TV reporter on CBS 6 News, and I'll put all the links down in the description. And as soon as he walked out of CBS 6 news station, he was arrested. And now he's in Albany County Jail. And he is facing 2 second-degree murder charges along with 2 concealment of the body charges. So that's what it is right now. Now, second-degree murder, I think it's different than first-degree murder. I think first-degree murder means premeditated, which I don't know why he's not charged with first degree murder and only charged with second degree murder. That don't make sense to me because he did premeditate it. He said he seen signs of his parents dying. So he basically made the choice to kill them. So in my eyes, he should be charged with 2 counts of first degree murder. But I think even with 2 counts of second degree murder, I think he's going to be in prison for the rest of his life because he's 53 years old already. And, yeah, a lot of people say what gave him the right to play God? Nobody gave him the right to play God. Nobody gives, you know, it's not a right of people to play God with other people. Killing somebody, murdering somebody, whatever the case may be. That is just crazy. And this story was crazy. I want to know your comments down below on what you think about this news story. Go watch the news stories. I'm going to provide links in the description down below. And I also got it on my post on my YouTube channel. You go to my homepage, you go to my post, and you will see the post there about this news story. And I will keep you updated on it. I wanted to bring this to you because this just happened in Albany, New York a few days ago, and it came over the news that they caught this guy for fraud. They were still trying to figure out the things, and then this guy Lorenz, he just went on the news and confessed. And now, of course, in the interviews, he don't seem upset. He don't seem distraught because you got to remember too, it's been 8 years and his parents were in the backyard for 8 years. So he probably went through some stress. He probably went through some crying or something and maybe felt bad about what he did. But I don't know because he seems pretty happy in the news, in the news conference. And also, he seems like it was right to do. And I don't think it was right to do, even though his mother or father was 93 and his mother was 83. Still, that's just crazy. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this news story. And I hope you all have a great and wonderful day. Much love to all.